People don't realize, I mean, of course, there's no way to prepare for a global pandemic, but it's important to realize that like things have to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And because if we're not moving with the times, we'll be back 10 years when it's the most important time. And
Yep.
we're going through that right now in Los Angeles. Like to register for your business right now, it's taking like 2-3 months. Marriage license. I got married in June. I got married last month, and there's still no appointments to have a marriage. Thank you. To have a marriage, there's no appointments available to have a marriage license, and all of these things that Los Angeles should be, and we're extremely far behind. And Eric Garcetti hasn't put us in the digital time at all. It came to voting, he did, but like just like you said, the LA County clerk in Stone Age still.
And that's a direct impact on citizens because you don't pay your fine. There's a warrant out for your arrest. Your check gets garnished, but you in jail, so you ain't got no check. So then,
And how do you even find out that you have a warrant for your arrest?
you
If you're
can't.
changing addresses, you can't even go look it up. You can't go run your name and be like, what has, if I'm driving around and I'm doing things, is my license suspended? Or do I have a warrant out? I can't even look that information up. I have to get pulled over, embarrassed, and pulled into jail, pay a bail, and a whole situation. Why?
And that system within itself is like it's like a constant stream of ways to make money off of the poorest and the most hard hit of the community. Like you're fleecing, it's like a Ponzi scheme, and we don't even like it's. Child, if y'all don't get y'all behinds out and register to vote and vote,
we registered over 2 million people with Rock the Vote last year. With the 2020 election. I've been working with them since 2018, and and a lot of the digital presence that they had was me being there ahead of the curve and at least giving them a presence, rebranding them, doing all of that work. So in 2020, when the shit hit the fan, we were prepared. We were ready. We had the networks, we had the connections, we had the social media presence, and working my ass off. Like those 2 million voters, registered voters, is a lot of hard work of us pouring ourselves into our work and getting it in the right places, and even amidst a global pandemic, still registering that many people
yep.
Was amazing because we still had probably over 1 million that checked their voter registration status, wanted to make sure they were still valid because there's a lot of voter suppression with that going on in different states. So, like it all makes a difference and it's all worth it. And even if you don't know when you're going to vote, get registered so you won't run into any issues.
Thank you. And that's one. I actually use Rock the Votes portal on some of my marketing because of the fact that people recognize it. Because if I use our local one, it's kind of antiquated, and I did a whole video on how to check it here for Stafford County. But if you go to Rock the Vote, that portal is easy. Vote early day also is easy. Like those things, having these portals and these things available are imperative, and I'm loving the fact like you're the reason why I see it all the time. You're like, oh, I'm like, okay, I'm just so happy to see that. Like, this makes me smile so much because it's a cause that's close to my heart. But it's like to know that there's someone who looks like me behind it just makes it even sweeter.
And that's super important. And that's actually why I opened up my agency. So my agency is, I always call us, that small but mighty because we have big hitter clients, but we've grown. It's probably about 8 or 9 of us now.
Mm-hmm.
But I only employ women of color because I think that is it's important to me. I know that most of the issues that go on in America affect women of color the most. True. Whether it's, anti-abortion laws, just people trying to, censor our bodies, censor our speech, and everything that happens, it is impacted the most by us. And I always noticed in this field when I started back in like 2015, it was just made up of so many white men thinking that they could be the ones as a voice for what we're going through. And it's like, how are you working in a school to prison pipeline and doing all this activist work? I appreciate your allyship, but like, you do not understand. You do not have families impacted by this. You don't have generations impacted by this. So how are you standing here, a white man, taking up space for people of color that could be actually getting this message out?
Yeah.
So
they haven't experienced.
They have no experience at all. And it mind blew me how many white men were in this space taking up space. So I only employ women of color, and it is one, a safe work environment, because we all know how it is to work with men. We all know how it is to work with white women. So
Listen, that's why I'm a full-time entrepreneur.
and that pushed me too, because I just wanted it to be by myself. I was like, I'm fine with being freelance, waking up and going to sleep when I want to, getting back to my clients. But it was at a moment for me, like, okay, do I want to help women of color advance and have a career and push us in the spaces that we're needed, that could be taken over by a white person or a white team or some digital agency that doesn't really know what they're doing? Or can I put myself out there and take this risk on myself and open up my own agency? And so I did it. And even the feedback I get from my clients as well as from my team, they're like, I don't even know what I would have done if I wouldn't have like found an agency like this, where it's like we're talking in one big like group chat. There's no underlying tones. It's just none of that old traditional workplace like values. It's completely out the window. Like, it's your first day of your period, take the day off. I know you're cramping. I know that it hurts. Like, like,
Hey, girl, listen,
like,
where do I apply? Where do I apply? I'm like,
but it's things that like people don't understand about us. Like when Derek Chauvin was convicted, we have to respond to things like that. And it's like, okay, let's get our responses up on our channels. We're taking the rest of the day off. This is a lot on us mentally. Like, I know we're all going through it, and I'm feeling it. I broke down crying when it happened, so I can only imagine what's going on with you guys. But it's about being mindful and creating a space where, this work is so hard that you need people to want to show up.
yeah,
I mean, even like you said, like, what's your motivation? What's your drive? And it's like, to know that we're making an impact, but knowing that we're also putting our mental health first, because I can't just be drilled into doing all this and not take time for myself. That's mentally draining. And I think that's what is missing in the social justice workspace. People are just so used to being drilled because things are happening so rapidly. But it's like, sometimes you got to take some time off, even if
yeah.
it's a Friday, a Wednesday in the middle of the week. Take some time to yourself.